Welcome to APTN National News. Thank you for joining us. Federal NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh was in Winnipeg on Wednesday. His itinerary included meeting with the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Grand Chief Kyra Wilson and the Quota Tribal Council. Here's APTN's Sierra Bettens with more.
After federal Liberal leader Mark Carney's campaign stopped in Winnipeg on Tuesday, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh spent Wednesday in the city. When asked for his election pitch to Indigenous voters at an announcement this morning, Singh said the NDP will fight to advance Indigenous rights.
I've shown Indigenous communities that your concerns, your rights, your treaty rights are a priority. We fought to make sure we had the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, and now we're going to fight to make sure it's implemented.
The NDP holds seats in several ridings where Indigenous voters have considerable pull. NDP MP Nikki Ashton currently holds a seat for Churchill-Quewatinuk-Aski, where 75% of residents identify as Indigenous, according to 2021 census data. And according to 2021 federal election data analysis released by the Assembly of First Nations on Friday, that riding also had the highest difference between the number of First Nations electors and the winning candidate's margin of victory of any riding in Canada. Anishinaabe candidate Rebecca Chartrand is running for the Liberals in that riding, and Lachlan Denardy for the Conservatives. Later in the morning, Singh met with the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Grand Chief Kyra Wilson and the Quota Tribal Council to discuss election priorities.
We've been raising our concern about missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, and how it is a shame in our country that Indigenous women and girls continue to lose their lives, to be killed. We've been fighting to say that the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action have to be implemented.
According to the latest Ipsos polling data, support for federal NDP is at 9%. To maintain official party status in the House of Commons, the NDP must secure at least 12 seats. Sierra Bettens, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
April 2nd marks 5 years since 40-year-old Melinda Lynxleg was last heard from by her family. She had been missing for more than 3 years when her body was found on June 7th, 2023 at an abandoned property in Santa Clara, Manitoba. No arrests have been made. An autopsy later confirmed Lynxleg's death was a homicide. Manitoba RCMP Major Crimes says the past 5 years, they have spoken to more than 130 people and spent thousands of hours following leads. Lynxleg is from the Tutnawayshebing First Nation, 290 kilometers northwest of Brandon. If anyone has information on this investigation, you're asked to contact RCMP or Major Crimes at 1-431-489-8042, or you can call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. To BC now, where the family of an Indigenous teenager who died under ministry care wants answers. She was found unresponsive only a few blocks away from her group home. As CTV's Isabella Zavera-Risi reports, her loved ones believe she was neglected.
Holding each other close, relatives of Chantel Williams lean on one another for strength as they plead with the province for closure.
I'm still wondering and asking, and I never get answers from them.
George Nukamis wants to know what led to the death of his 18-year-old granddaughter. On January 28th, a person found her in the 4900 block of Ian Avenue in Port Alberni. She was unresponsive and died later that day.
And they said she died of natural causes? That's not right. Then they will not give me any answers yet. I'm in the dark.
Williams died only a few blocks away from her group home on a cold winter night. She was under the guardianship of Usma Nuchanalth Child and Family Services. Her loved ones say she had recently spent time in the hospital, but didn't know why.
She was supposed to get checked up on. And then when she was released from the hospital all by herself, that wasn't supposed to happen.
The teen spent most of her life in care, disconnected from family.
We were separated, and I really wish we weren't separated.
Her brother Justin describes her as someone who cared about others.
She had so much to live for. She was such a young, smart girl that tried to keep herself strong through these tough times.
She was way too young to die. And I think we just need some answers.
It has been 64 days since Chantal's death.
The BC Conservative Party is calling for a coroner's inquest.
All too often, these cases are treated like a one-off when in reality there's a systemic problem.
When pressed for when the family can expect answers, the Children and Families Minister cited privacy laws.
I know that that can be excruciating. My expectation is that while families are going through the unimaginable, that we are supporting them in any way that we possibly can.
The Premier has promised to launch an investigation. William's family hopes that by sharing her story, others won't have to lose a loved one this way. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News.
A federal judge has ruled the Fisheries Department failed to properly consult commercial elver fishers when it transferred part of their quota to First Nations. The ruling comes after the two companies sought a judicial review of the department's decision for the 2023 season. The judge ruled the transfers were procedurally unfair, adding the department did not engage enough with both companies before cutting quotas for the elver season without compensation. The companies involved say they intend to pursue legal action for damages. 5 First Nations in Northern Alberta are receiving $6.9 million in funding over 3 years to help expand the Lakeshore Regional Police Service. The Alberta government made the announcement on Tuesday during its 2025 budget. The funding will go towards expanding the existing detachment building. The Lakeshore Regional Police Service was established in 2008 and is located in the Driftpile Cree First Nation, about 320 kilometers northwest of Edmonton. The 22-member service covers the Sawridge, Swan River, Sucker Creek, and Capoweno First Nations. In a statement, Treaty 8 First Nations of Alberta Grand Chief Trevor McCready said, "This commitment from the Government of Alberta affirms that we have always known our people have the inherent right and responsibility to protect our own, as our ancestors intended when treaty was made. Self-administered Indigenous policing is an expression of our sovereignty, our laws, and our way of keeping our communities safe." To Saskatchewan now, where this week's government relations estimates meeting in Regina got a little heated when questions about the cost of living in northern communities were raised by opposition MLA Jordan McPhail. The estimates meeting is a process where the government addressed unanticipated expenses from their budget and seeks approval to pay for them.
On the news release that came from the First Nations and Métis Funding Budget 2025-2026 document that was put out by your ministry, in there it has budget line items that have been put out from your ministry that talks about the different specific to First Nations and Métis, which you're the minister of. And so the $2.1 million that your ministry had put in the budget is not something that I am able to question. Where that revenue or where that money will be spent?
That's simply it's a budget question. We're dealing with the estimates that are in front of us here. So let's stick to that questioning. Minister Schmaltz.
Also, just to clarify, that news release is based on a government release as a whole. It's not entirely specific to any one ministry.
That was Jordan McPhail, the NDP Shadow Minister for Northern Affairs, trying to put questions about affordability, healthcare, and highways to Saskatchewan Indigenous Affairs Minister Eric Schmaltz. McPhail called the way he was treated in the meeting, quote, shameful and very troubling. We have to take a short break, but we have more news after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Comments allegedly made on social media by 2 Alberta doctors have come to light this past week, sparking enough outrage to get a petition going with the intention to launch an investigation and suspend one of the doctors. Joining us to talk about this story is Veronica Blackhawk. Veronica, I understand there are some developments in this bizarre story. What can you tell us?
Thank you, Creason. This isn't the first time 2 Alberta doctors are receiving backlash over the comments. Someone posted them before in 2021. Hateful comments directed at Indigenous people about residential schools and missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. We now know the viral posts this week were not written by Dr. Laffin or Dr. Tran. The profiles are fake, but the latest posting is causing damage to their reputations for a second time. On Monday, a petition was started on change.org. It got over 5,700 signatures in less than 48 hours. It originally had screenshots and videos as part of the campaign. Now midweek, that petition is closed. The petition has been updated by Hans McCarthy, who identifies as a First Nations advocate. They say new information came to light during a court order from 2021, where Laffin tried to have Facebook release the identity of the account holder, but was unsuccessful. The petition maker, McCarthy, is also apologizing and says they don't want to cause further harm. APTN reached out to Dr. Laffin, and in an email, he said he is unsure why he was targeted and that narratives like this undermine the real struggles impacting Indigenous communities. Laffin said, quote, "I will continue to try and identify the creator of these fraudulent posts, and until that time, will continue to openly address the posts whenever they appear," unquote. The College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta also released a statement. Shared on April 1st, the college said the comments were made by fraudulent accounts. They launched an investigation in 2021 and say they are making another statement now because it is a serious matter. In a written statement on their website, the college says it's disheartening to see these comments resurface and that racism and discrimination have no place in healthcare. While this was just a hoax, there is still an opportunity to learn from this. Experts say check the source. Are they reliable? And is there more than one source? While it's rare and hard to prove, it is possible to be sued and held liable for defamation of character, even simply for sharing viral posts. Creason?
Thanks, Veronica. It's Thursday, and that means Fraser Needham joins us now from Ottawa to tell us what's ahead on Nation to Nation. Fraser?
Coming up after the evening news, it's week 2 of the federal election campaign, and the Chiefs of Ontario have released their election priorities document. Regional Chief Abram Benedict is here to tell us what it means. Métis National Council President Victoria Pruden is also here to talk about some of the issues her organization would like to see addressed in the campaign. And we talked to APTN Investigates reporter Tom Fenario about a piece he recently did on underfunding Indigenous police forces. All this ahead on Nation to Nation.
Thank you, Fraser. For more than 2 decades, Indigenous peoples standing up for their rights have faced the full weight of the state's power. From frontline clashes from specialized RCMP units to being watched by Canada's intelligence agency, government actions have come under renewed scrutiny. Coming up tomorrow night on the conclusion to their special 3-part series, Inside Policing, APTN Investigates asks, who's watching the watchers? Here's a preview.
I've been reporting for more than 2 decades. In that time, Indigenous people standing up for their rights have continually faced the full weight of the state's power.
Don't point your gun at me! Take your gun off of me!
From frontline clashes with specialized RCMP units to being spied on by Canada's intelligence agency, and more recently, clashes with private security staffed by ex-cops and ex-military. But first, I head into the mountains, driving to Blue River, a tiny town 2.5 hours outside of Kamloops.
Good morning, how are you doing?
Mayuk, along with her partner Aisha Jules, have returned to what's called the Tiny House Warriors encampment, set up right beside what was the TMX pipeline workers camp. The camp's empty now, the workers gone. They recall its construction.
There was no selective logging. The whole forest floor had wild blueberries, and those are Suquamish women's medicine.
They did not go cheap on this at all. They got it done fast, and they hired the people to do it.
You know, you want to deal with title and rights in this country, you're going to meet with the RCMP, not with the politician. And I met with a lot of RCMPs, even just at this gate, over our title and rights. Go check it out. Go check it out.
And you can catch APTN Investigates Inside Policing, Watching the Watchers, airing this Saturday on APTN. We now want to tell you about this week's 3rd web poll question. On our website, we ask, Who is your favorite Juno Award-winning artist? Sebastian Gaskin, Alyssa P., Snotty Nose Rez Kids? Go to our website at aptnnews.ca/polls to have your say. Hip-hop artist Stella Bear is up next. We'll be right back with that interview. Stay with us. Starting on the east, St. John's -1, Charlottetown 0. The Grand River -8, Anujiwak -16. 1 in Montreal, Quebec City 0. London -1, Peterborough -2. Sudbury -3, Thunder Bay 0. -7 in Thompson, God's Lake -2. 1 in Winnipeg, Barons River -6. 2 in Estevan, Regina -6. -6 in Meadow Lake, La Ronge -10. Grand Prairie 13, Fort McMurray -1. 0 in Lethbridge, Edmonton -1. 12 in Vancouver, Kamloops 14. 8 in Fort Nelson and Son, Smithers 11. Watson Lake 4, Dawson 7. 5 in Fort Simpson, Yellowknife -8. Fort McPherson -4, Colville Lake -5. Cambridge Bay -17, Baker Lake -16. Clyde River -16, Agulik -19. Thanks for staying with us. Our next guest has done tours across the US and Canada and is the first Lakota artist to win 2 historic awards at the 2023 International Indigenous Hip Hop Awards in the US. Stella Bear earned Best Female Hip Hop Artist and Music Video of the Year for her debut single, Home Runs. She filmed the music video in her home territory of Oglala Lakota Nation in South Dakota. Born in Salt Lake City, Utah, and now residing in Pine Ridge, Stella Bear blends alternative rap and R&B and pop in her music. Her songs Skoden, Pray For You, and Rock the Boat have also been streamed and listened to countless times. We recently spoke to Stella from her home. Here's that interview. Stella Bear, thank you so much for being here. Can you start us off by telling us when you first realized you wanted to be a hip-hop recording artist?
Of course. I think I knew at a very young age. I've always loved music. I was around music growing up. A lot of the music I listened to, my mom or my grandma or my relatives showed me or put me on. But I probably told this story a million times, but when I was a baby, my uncles would like cipher and like freestyle, and my mom said that I would try to join them, before I could even talk, really, just like baby mumble, like trying to rap with them. So, since a very young age, I guess you could say I caught the music bug, started writing poetry in 4th grade, learned how to write rap bars shortly after 14, started recording music in 15, I was hitting the stage. So wow. I always loved music. I knew that this is my plan A, B, and C.
That's so awesome. And your recent rap single, Pray For You, is getting a lot of streams and views on various apps and all across social media. Can you tell us where the idea for that song came from and what message you wanted to convey?
Of course, yeah. Pray For You is, I would say, like my fastest growing song right now. I think it will be the #1 here shortly. And so what inspired that song, I actually sampled she's a traditional and R&B singer, Miracle Spotted Bear. I sampled her on the beat, which was really cool. So including my community within the song, right? But, I feel like doing what I do as an artist, sometimes there's going to be sideline noise, whether it's relatives, people in our community, sometimes even our own family members. And the only thing we could, in my culture and in my people, we're supposed to be good relatives. We're not supposed to, say bad things. And sometimes that does happen. And all we could do is pray for those people. So that's why I made Pray For You. The music video actually comes out on April 12th. And I filmed it on my reservation. So I'm super excited to share it.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to see it. And great message behind that song. Listening to your music, I feel like there's a little shout outs to other great musicians out there that you probably grew up listening to, like R&B singer Aaliyah. Was she a big inspiration for you growing up?
Yeah, my mom actually put me onto her music.
That's great to hear. And you've been busy doing performances all across North America. But not only that, you traveled to Atikamekw, Big Trout, and Sandy Lake here in Canada for your various workshops for Indigenous youth. Can you explain why those trips are so important to you?
Absolutely. So, you know, with every community, there's going to be hardships, right? Hardships in life. And I share a similar upbringing too. So I think it's very important for me to go to these communities. Or some are isolated. You have to take a charter flight just to get there. It's impossible to drive. So, you know, letting the youth there in the community know that they're not alone and that we share the same struggles, we share the same hardships, and you know, it's up to us to find that outlet, whether it's music or beading or traditional dancing or singing, whatever it may be, to express those emotions in a healthy way. And then it's up to us to not let those hardships like dictate or predict our future, and that we're in control, and we could better ourselves. And once we better ourselves, we could help the ones around us better themselves as well.
I'll probably get sort of the same answer, but I still want to ask it. Finally, Stella, what is your message to other young and upcoming Indigenous youth who dream of becoming a musician, and what lessons do you want to share with them?
Of course, I would say first and foremost, have fun. This is supposed to be something you're passionate about, and then you want to make it into a career. You want to, if this is something, you got to ask yourself, is this something I'm willing to do every single day for the rest of my life, or am I willing to put in the work for 10 years and may not see any results? And most importantly, like I said, it's having fun, and it's a lot of failure before success. There's a lot of falling and getting back up, but I always like to say that L isn't for loss, it's for learning. Those are opportunities to learn from, to reflect on, and to grow. And that's all. That's the beauty about being an artist, is you're always continuously growing. So yeah, I believe in you.
And my bonus question is, when can we expect to see Stella Bear in Canada again for touring and music?
Yeah, I would love to come back out. I know that the weather is getting a bit better up there, you know, springtime, summertime, but shortly. You can follow like my social media or my website for upcoming shows, but I will be back out there as soon as I can, honestly.
And we'll have to get you in studio as well and sing one or two songs for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to. Thank you for the opportunity.
Stella Bear, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you.
And that's your daytime newscast for this Thursday, April 3rd. Dennis Ward is back for your evening newscast with a brand new segment of Truth in Politics. Please join us then. From all of us at APTN National News Daytime, thank you for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. Excellent.